The Bryce Huff's conversation has looked dire for some bit of time, but is there finally a glimmer of hope? We're going to discuss here on Boy Green Daily with the latest juicy deets.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
What's poppin', everybody? Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show. Also available if you prefer the audio-only version. Just simply search for Boy Green Daily wherever you get your podcast. Let's bring on our co-host, and we do that every Friday. It is Italy Jet, a Jets content creator of his own right. Good morning, Italy.
Buongiorno, ciao, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? It just keeps getting better and better. How's it going, man?
Nice hat, nice logo. Perhaps that's where we're going there for that. And by the way, shout out John Sauer, part of the Boy Green Super fan club, said he's finally made a live cast, which again, every morning live at 7:30. Plus we have our afternoon shows at 3 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So John, welcome to the show, baby.
Good morning.
Yes, that's for certain. So thanks for the support on the show. Really appreciate that, guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. The Bryce Huff negotiations. Now, at first, I was pretty high heading into the opposite. Oh yeah, we'll tag this guy no matter what. We're keeping him. And then as I heard from team insiders, days and weeks, I'm like, oh boy, we are not keeping this guy. It's just not going to happen. But now there might be a glimmer of hope. Jason Fitzgerald, who is the capologist expert of all kinds, spoke with Rich Cimini for a big juicy column. We have all the details in the YouTube description down below, whether you're watching live or after the fact. And in that conversation, Jason Fitzgerald, who I've never met Jason, I've never done interviews with him, but he doesn't seem like the optimistic type from what I've been able to pick up from him. So when he gives optimism, to me, that's really intriguing. So he actually predicted that Bryce Huff will sign a last-second deal with the New York Jets to stay here in New York. So I will read you the specific action there from old Jason Fitzgerald in the article. Again, the full column is out there on ESPN, but that absolutely got my engine revving a little bit for the possibility that he could come. Here it is. Fitzgerald's gut feeling is that Bryce Huff will sign an 11th hour deal to remain in New York. Now I'm no longer talking about the quote anymore. Rich Cimini doesn't believe the franchise tag is going to be used. And here's the money. This also came from Jason Fitzgerald. Huff could be asking for as much as $20 million per year, but predicted he will ultimately land in the 17 to 18 million range, which, by the way, if you guys been listening to the show for weeks, that's exactly what I've been telling you would be the market for Bryce Huff. Again, it's going to be a couple percentage points better automatically for Carl Lawson. So Carl signed a 3-year deal for $15 million per. Now we're a couple years later. So 17, 18, 19 per. That's like kind of the range, it seems. Although, of course, if you get to the open market, things can get crazy. So Jason Fitzgerald predicting a last-second stay, a last-second buzzer beater working in the Jets' favor. But he did say in the post that the Jets would have to overpay for that to happen. And obviously you would, because why would Bryce Huff turn down hitting the open market? The only way to do so is for the Jets to hand him almost a blank check before we get there. Where is your confidence level at this point, Italy, on the Jets potentially retaining Bryce Huff? Or in your mind, have you already moved on?
Yeah, I've already moved on. I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those things where, in Joe Douglas's words, Bryce is a great player development success story, and what he's done with our defense in the development, undrafted, like it came together. It came together for him at the end. But like you said, he's not going to take a discount. And I think he wants consistent snaps.
Yes, that's a
I
big
don't think,
factor.
I just don't think he wants to be in the system that just keeps substituting in and out anymore. He said it a couple times already. I think it's a tag and trade. I moved on. I don't want to move on because I love him very much. He's beloved by Jets fans. He's a Jets fan favorite. But I mean, he's got one of the best snaps, get offs in the entire league. I think
Yeah.
he really wants to show people that he wants to be that everyday down guy. I don't think the Jets can give it to him. I think we've already moved on with McDonald and JJ. I just can't see it. I love Huff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer right here, but
Sure.
I really just don't see it happening.
And I respect the honesty, to be honest with you. And then, of course, we have another Boy Green Super Fan Club member that is designated with that little logo. Hey, what's the matter with you? We got a little Jared B action in here. Welcome to the show.
Jared.
Thanks, everybody, for the support. Really appreciate it. Yeah, let me go to your quote that you were talking about. You were referencing, this was to Rich Cimini exclusively at the end of the season. This is Bryce Huff. Quote, I definitely want to be able to find a scheme that sees me as an every down player. It gives me the opportunity to show that I can be a top-tier edge in this league in the run and in the pass, end quote. Yeah, Bryce Huff has been very sensitive, I'm not trying to be rude about it. He has been very aware of people telling him. So he's obviously a really talented pass rush win rate. He just had the 10-sack season. Like, that's very intriguing. Like, a lot of people are giving him praise for that, but a lot of people questioned his run defense, and he takes a personal affront to people say that because he says, I've gotten better. I was good in college. Blah blah blah, and not to denigrate him. I'm just saying, like, he has been very like, hey man, I am a every down player. Hey, I am better against a run than people say. So he's very for it. That quote right there sure sounds like a guy that wants to leave. I want a scheme that gives me an every down. It just is never going to happen with the Jets. That is their philosophy. That is in their own Jets Bible that they say, hey, here's the first commandment. Every defensive line will only get an insert amount of the percentage. So it is what it is from that perspective. Let me go to my father. My father's in here saying a few things. Okay, let's go to this. Whoa, this is a book. Okay, Jets need to not overpay. This is my father on Facebook for our audio-only listeners, as I make weird sounds to things you guys have no idea what's going on. This is my father on Facebook. Jets need to not overpay for Huff. Too many other needs to fill. Should not overreact to one season of production. He got his sack numbers because of the team he's on, his teammates, and situations he was put into the game. The thing I will push back on this is not the 1 year production, because he was kind of, analytically speaking, he performed very well for years. This is the first year where the analytics and the actual production seem to match each other with the high pressure rate, QB pressures, QB hits, things of that nature. Those have always been high for Huff. But now finally you get the tangible numbers that people love, which are sacks. Like, that's a number people get paid on. That's a number fans in the street. Yo, who's the better defender? This guy's got 12 sacks. This guy's got 15. Not a lot of people go, well, technically, Bryce Huff has a higher pressure percentage rate. Like, that's not normally a thing that you can point to, but that thing combined. The only thing I would push back on here on my father, this Jets team, while they won 7 games, and that's sort of a miracle, quite frankly, based on everything that happened, he got 10 sacks on a team that never held leads. What would he do on a team with Aaron Rodgers that, like, let's just say routinely they either have leads or at the very least the games are close? And if the games are close or they have leads, Bryce Huff knows the offense has to be throwing the football. Could his 10 sacks jump to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? You know what I'm saying? So, like, he was playing on a team that never held leads and most of the time was down, and he got 10 sacks. That's almost more impressive than if they had leads and he had some crazy numbers. So that's the one part I'd push. And then one more from my father here on Facebook. 1 year double-digit sacks does not equate to 17 million. Well, I think we're going to see. I heard Zach Rosenblatt on the Can't Wait podcast say that Bryce Huff is going to get one of the richest deals of any free agent this offseason. That was his prediction. So,
I 100% agree. It's going to be one of the top 5-7 teams in the NFL that are going to give him that kind of deal. I think he's going to be on a packed defense that's going to show him that he could be an everyday down. And especially with Salah, I mean, they're all so high on McDonald right now. I mean, they are just trying to, hype up this guy as much as they view him as a superstar.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where I think the writing is on the wall, Jets fans. Writing is on the wall, Boy Green. I just think that I think it's over, man.
Although I will say this, John Sauer, again, a member of the Boy Green Superman fan club, says $70 million 4 years for Huff, cap space, no issue after restructuring cuts. That is the true thing, is that if you make the deal long enough, you can add void years, and this can F up the Jets in like 2028, 2030 or something. And again, that's not a great way to do business, but if you really are all in on the now, you can punt this can to the moon, Alice, and all of a sudden we're talking about something different here. So if the Jets want to make it happen, they can. And the reason why you would want to, again, it's a debate. I'm seeing Jet fans in here say, see ya, and other Jet fans saying, bring it back. So like everyone's all over the place in the comment section. I can see you guys. The thing that I would just highlight here is that pass rushing, the art of pass rushing, regardless of how that happens, 4-3 scheme, 3-4 scheme, 4-6 scheme, whatever, outside linebacker, edge, whatever you're talking about, defensive end, whatever. Pass rushing is a premium position in football. The Jets claim their win now. Why in God's green earth would you allow, at least from a sack perspective, your most dynamic pass rusher to walk out the door before he even gets a chance to play with Aaron Rodgers? I would feel robbed as a Jets fan if ultimately what transpires here is that Bryce Huff leaves and the Jets get like a comp pick in like 1,000 years. It's not 1,000 years. It's next year. I'm being dramatic, but you get the point that like if the Jets don't get Bryce Huff playing with Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden I feel robbed because who knows what Bryce Huff could have done. We were robbed of the message. We were robbed of the vision because Aaron Rodgers got hurt this year. So we have no idea what Bryce Huff would have done in that year. And to be honest, I think they effed up way before this. Rich Cimini is very clear about it in the piece. The Jets did not really seriously talk contract with Bryce Huff this past offseason. They didn't do it during the season. They just said, we'll figure it out later. And so they cost themselves with that. So now you have to hope because, again, we will see. Maybe Jason Fitzgerald's right. There is a last-second buzzer beater deal that retains him. It's just hard for me to believe that because I've said this for a bunch of weeks, and hopefully I'm surprised. It just doesn't. Why, if I'm Bryce Huff, okay, I'm Bryce Huff now. Italy, you're the Jets, okay? You're like, hey, here's the offer, Paul. And I'm like, I could just go to the free agency. And you're like, no, don't. Why? Well, we don't want you to. We want to keep you. For how much? This? And I'm like, agent? He's like, oh, yeah, you could do better on the market. You could do better. How about this, Jets? I'm going to go to the market, swim around a little, then I'll come back. The problem is if I swim around and go a while, that number's going to, all of a sudden the number's going to be crazy, and Jets are going to be like, we can't pay that. And then it's over. So the number, Italy, that you as the Jets would have to slide to me on the table where I wouldn't even want to test free agency would have to be so astronomical. 21 million, 22 million. I'm like, okay, I won't test the market. I'll stay here because he already said it. No discount. And he obviously mentioned the scheme. It would take such an unreal number for me for that to happen. Maybe I'm too crazy and over the top.
No,
maybe a deal happens.
22. I mean, I think that's the number. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking is what he's going to probably want to get. I mean, it could be more if I'm Joe Douglas, he's going to want more like 16, 17, right? Maybe 19. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. But he's going to range between 21 and 23.
Yeah. So we will see. Again, when you get to the open market, all kinds of crazy things can happen. And the other thing that helps this conversation is, first off, as John Sauer says, the guaranteed money. What is that in this deal? That's an important piece of the puzzle. But also with all of this is for the Jets, Woody Johnson at the NFL Honors Award Show pounded the table. Offense. The Jets have two guys. Jermaine Johnson's a former first rounder. Will McDonald is a former first rounder. If Woody Johnson is pounding the table for offense, okay, and while the Jets would get clowned if they allow Bryce Huff to leave as an undrafted free agent, homegrown talent, and he goes and plays for like the Patriots, God forbid, or some team that's going to give it to the Jets in the AFC or something, the Jets are going to be clowned for a lot. So public perception, maybe that affects the Jets too. Like, we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to be the laughing stock of the league, and that sort of thing happens. But putting that part of it aside for a second, if it's offense, let's say it's 17, 18 million for Huff on a 3 or 4 year deal, that 4 year, $70 million deal. We'll use that as an example that a fan brought up. Okay.
Right.
That means that's 4 years, 70 million you can't spend on the offense, the offensive line, wide receiver, backup quarterback, this, that, and the other. Like, and I'm not just talking about like you would spend all that at one position, but that's money that you're taking off the table. There's only so much pie that's there. So I'm just trying to present both sides of this, the devil's advocate of like keeping Huff and not keeping Huff, and the pros and cons of each, because that will restrict obviously what the Jets can do offensively.
It's one of those things where if you're already getting what Johnson's said at the ESPN award show, I think it's more of Huff is the guy that's going to kind of be the scapegoat here. Like, I think this is definitely it, and I think they're going to pound more and more on the other. We're going to take some hits on the defense. Trades coming, cuts coming. I just want them to re-sign Jefferson for me.
Quentin,
And then
yes.
I really want Jefferson back, but I think Huff is going to be the big one. I mean, we've talked about before, Boyd Green, with some corners maybe being traded.
Sure.
Picking up the one free agent. I'm looking at Detroit Johnson. I like Johnson out there. I think that would be a good one. But overall, the way they're talking, spending heavy on the offense, there's going to be one or two that's going to be the gone guy.
So I have one, I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory, but it's one I'm going to throw it to a team insider because I've been throwing it around on. To me, the Jets have to tag Bryce Huff. You can't just let him walk out the door. But I've been told, like, come on, the Jets can't tag him. So I want to throw my wild idea at an insider. We'll see when that happens. I hopefully will be doing a show soon with one of the team insiders, whether it's Kaz or Rosenblatt or anybody, because I just want them to hear my crazy brain theory, and then they either shut it down or go, that could work. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, now I've got vindication. I got validation that this is a real thing. Because the long and skinny of it is that the Jets could negotiate at the NFL Combine with other teams to set up the framework of a tag and trade, and then allow that team to talk to Huff's representatives and figure out all the details before you actually have to slap the franchise tag on him to minimize it. Because as soon as you put the franchise tag on Bryce Huff, you have to have that money ready, available, even if he doesn't sign the tender. So you have to set all that up in advance. But if you set it up in advance without doing the tag, and they only do the tag as a procedural move to make the trade happen, that could all put the pieces together. I feel like a crazy guy that's throwing stuff in the boardroom at the wall. Gosh, what do you think of this plan? Well, we do some of this, a little bit of that. That's what I'm saying. I'm throwing it out there, but I've not heard a team insider hear my pitch yet at the press conference table and deny it or accept it yet. So that's still on my bucket list this offseason. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, y'all love your conspiracy theories. That's one hell of a drive right there.
Yeah. So I've heard no one either, again, accept or deny that yet. They've just kind of said, okay, Paul, yeah, sure. Yeah, they've been kind of weirded out by all my throwing around of all kinds of crazy Guatemalan stuff. But the thing I would say is that it's good to hear at least a glimmer of hope, because quite frankly, we haven't heard a lot of it in these Bryce Huff conversations. So for a cap expert, capologist to predict and believe that the Jets ultimately, his gut feeling that they will be able to retain him in some way is fun to hear, but we will see if that's realistic, because the Jets have a lot of work to do this offseason. We've talked about it ad nauseum, quite frankly, about all the variety of positions that they do. So to me, I would just say this on the way out about the tag and trade possibility. If you lose Bryce Huff without any tag or trade, like you just let him walk out the door, there is a chance, a chance, that you get a 2025 third comp pick. However, it's not guaranteed. There is a realistic chance that you get nothing, that he walks out of the door and you spend enough money that those things nullify each other and you get zero for Huff, and that would be an even greater disaster. That's why I'm such a fan of the tag and trade. If you can't keep him outright, obviously, I'd love Bryce Huff to stay, but I'm more leaning that he's gone. That if you tag and trade him, at least you can get something that helps you right now, that, at least in the win now mode, kind of changes my mentality a little bit, because if not, you're getting a third in 2025. You lose your best pass rusher and you don't get anything to help you now. You tag a trade now, even if you tag to trade him for a third right now, at least you get your third guarantee and you get it in a year in advance. Or give me a second, or give me this, or give me that. I don't know. I could get creative with the potential for a trade, but man, that's what I need for the Jets. Even a third rounder now would help. It's not great value, but it's better than nothing. So I'm kind of in that position. So I hope the Jets do their proper homework.
I 100% agree. You have to. I mean, if you don't, like, then the fans are really going to be pissed, because that's just one of your things where you can get people back, you can get drafts back. I know a couple people said in the comments about Chicago. Maybe I mentioned the Rams. I mentioned the Ravens. I think that you need that. You definitely need to do that, and you need to have the money ready, because if Johnson keeps talking about the offense the way he wants to go, spending money on that, Huff is one of your keys to get something back. So they better do this. They better do this.
NY Jets FL comments on YouTube. Can we stop already? He's a nice player, but he's no Jason Taylor. I don't know if anyone said he is Jason Taylor, but I'll just say this.
I don't know about that one, man.
I think we're just talking up because it's an asset. Bryce Huff is about to be a pending free agent. The Jets technically own his rights in some way, and the fact that they could tag him if they wanted to. And I want to maximize the assets on this team. And I'm rooting for Bryce Huff to get as much money as he possibly can and all that jazz. Like, I'm rooting for that. But at the same time, the Jets are win now. We need to maximize and turn over every stone to improve the talent on this roster. And I believe, whether you think he's Jason Taylor or not, who also was a pretty good Jets legend. Thanks, Dolphins, you bastards. But no, in all seriousness, the key for me is maximizing the asset. So if you can trade Huff, and of course a lot of teams are going to be interested, then get the right one that's willing to give up an asset that can help you. That's the key to this story. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll have more tomorrow. I think we got old Hop on Pop on the schedule tomorrow. That should be a doozy for certain. But I'm looking forward to it. All these shows are a lot of fun. We're getting closer and closer. We're less than a month away from the legal tampering period, so that's going to be some juicy, saucy rumors we'll talk about, of course, here on the show. Plus free agencies right around the corner. The Combine here in a couple of weeks. So we'll have all the juicy deets with some fun guests coming up. I'm looking forward to it. Italy, thanks, brother.
I appreciate you. Appreciate the chat. Ciao, and go Jets.
There we go. God bless, baby. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.